Basically, once a year, one game comes out for the Nintendo Wii that trades out waggle-heavy minigames and childish visuals for over-the-top gore and immature penis jokes. Last year, that game was No More Heroes, but 2009 is all about Mad World.
You feel me? Hey, mama, look at go, yeah, hey, oh, hell no!
Mad World tells a story that's as ludicrous as it is completely goddamned irrelevant. A game show called Deathwatch has isolated a populated island and filled it with psychotic freaks who must battle to the death on camera for their audience's entertainment. The rest of the story, including the history of Jack, the game's protagonist, is revealed slowly throughout the course of the game's 4-hour single-player campaign. Having any story at all in a game as simplistically violence-obsessed as Mad World is sort of like hiring a hooker who stops every 15 minutes to tell you about her childhood.
Is this douchebag for real?
Quiet.
Mad World is about one thing and one thing only: violence. Bright red blood frequently splashes across the otherwise black and white game world, and every single level, goal, or minigame revolves around killing very large amounts of human beings in the most ridiculous way possible. Just by pressing the B trigger and moving the Wiimote, the player can saw enemies in half with Jack's retractable chainsaw. Just by picking up an environmental item and flicking the Wiimote near an enemy, you can shove a pipe clean through a bad guy's head. It's simple, it's violent, it's completely immature, and it initially just feels plain satisfying in a guilty pleasure sort of a way. Each level is split up into 3 sections: a non-linear sandbox mode where Jack has to use the hazard-filled environment to rack up as many points as he can by killing people, followed by a self-contained bloodbath challenge like Man Darts, where you knock baddies into a gigantic dartboard with a spiked baseball bat, until finally concluding with a fight against the resident level boss. All this glorious violence is accompanied by color commentary from Greg Proops and John DiMaggio. As Deathwatch's official announcers, they'll basically spend the majority of the time making lowest common denominator penis and ex-wife jokes.
You backing your dog shit?
But Proops and DiMaggio's delivery and timing are so pitch perfect that their antics are often more fun than the actual gameplay.
Recycling value on severed dipshit.
While it's undeniably fun to throw bad guys into meat grinders and burning engine jets, and while Jack's motion-controlled chainsaw attacks feel just as fluid and visceral as Travis Touchdown's beam katana in No More Heroes, Mad World commits an almost unthinkable sin for a game with such endless potential. After an hour of play, you'll have seen almost everything there is to see. Every single level is filled with almost the exact same kill items plus 1 or 2 unique environmental hazards. I literally lost count of the number of times I shoved a signpost into a guy's face, then forced a barrel over his head, then impaled him on a bed of spikes, because that's pretty much all that was around. Given how Mad World's enemies tend to shamble around aimlessly, there's almost no sense of challenge, but that wouldn't really be a problem if that void were filled with a steady stream of new and inventive over-the-top ways of maiming people. Really, that's Mad World's problem. It just doesn't go far enough. It's got tight, visceral controls, a kick-ass visual style, clever bloodbath challenges, and a wonderfully over-the-top premise, but is too frightened to deliver on its potential. As it stands, its underwhelming boss battles and minute-to-minute gameplay become repetitive even before the incredibly short campaign reaches its end. The fluid controls, great sense of humor, satisfying ultra-violence, and occasional flashes of design brilliance make Mad World an absolute must-rent for any self-respecting Wii owner, but don't spend more than $20 on it. I was gonna make some sort of pun like you'd have to be mad to spend more than $20 on it, but I fucking didn't. And I'm glad I fucking didn't.